Welcome, everyone, to episode 12 of Meander Travel, where we will reveal some big news, like jump off the cliff kind of news, and we'll share some tidbits from our very spur-of-the-moment trip to Costa Rica. So sit back in your seat and enjoy the listening. Wheels up!
We're gonna be two hearts running wild.
So hello, everyone. My name is Julie, and I'm sitting here with my husband, Tony.
Hello.
And our awesome superstar producer, Caleb.
Hello, hello.
Wonderful. And I think we're finally getting a hang of this podcast thing, because I know I just misspoke right there, but I actually did the intro for the first time ever without screwing up and didn't have to do like
That's
12
your
takes.
First time.
Seriously. Usually I have to do multiple takes. So anybody who's aspiring to be a podcaster, it's okay. It takes some practice. So tonight we are going to share some really big news, and such big news that I don't even know kind of where to start. So I think I'm just going to lob the ball into Tony's court and let him share what's been going on.
Okay, well, part of this podcast is we talk about travel and destinations and the fun things and the experiential travel. But another one of the big components of this podcast is talking about how we are trying to get to the point where we're traveling all the time, digital nomads per se. You know, how do we do that process? Dogs, insurance, all that stuff. Well, one of the biggest components is jobs. And if you have a full-time job that you've had for 30 years, that's kind of stands in the way of doing that.
A little bit.
Just a bit. So 2 weeks ago, I put my notice in, and today is my very first day that I don't have a job officially it's a Monday. So my last day was last Friday, and I'm done.
Woohoo!
Yes.
And how do you feel today waking up and knowing you didn't have to go to the office?
It was a bit weird. I actually I went to bed really, really late so that I could purposely try and sleep until like 9, just so I say the first day of not working, I slept in until 9. So
It was like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. I don't know. And I thought to myself,
I had to get
you better
tired.
not get in this habit of coming to bed at 3
No,
o'clock in
just
the
a
morning.
one-off, just for that first time to say I slept in my first. Otherwise, I'd have been up at 6 a.m. and I was been thinking I had to get to the office. So it was a good moment. And then I had a friend actually text me, a coworker, old colleague, text me at 9 o'clock and say, "Get out of bed. You got to do something with your life." And I said, "Funny you should say that. I just woke up 5 minutes ago." So that was kind of. And then he said, it gave me a couple derogatory terms. So
Well, you deserve that rest. It's been a really stressful last few weeks, last few months, last year, whatever. But I want you to share with Caleb and our listeners kind of what this has been like. We don't have a backup plan right now. We don't have a safety net. We have a lot of bills to pay and a mortgage to pay and very expensive children that are not, they're not living, one of them's living at home. The other one's not, but they're both putting a lot of money on the credit card. So what are your plans?
Well, our plans, we don't know yet for sure, but we know that if you keep on doing the same thing you're doing forever, you all of a sudden find yourself 65, 70 years old and retiring and not where you want to be when you want to do the things you want to do. So, we've encouraged our daughters to follow their dreams, to, go after what they want. And they're doing that in their lives. One's becoming a professional downhill skier. The other one's becoming a pilot, trying to, go and be in the big leagues.
That's why they're expensive.
And here I was sitting at my job just doing the same old for year after year, even though we've been talking about doing this for 7 to 8 years, listening to podcasts and websites and you name it, and being motivated, but just never doing anything about it. So to actually walk away from a nice paying job, we do well, to all of a sudden zero. Well, you have some income, but for me to have zero income, it's very scary. But it's also, change. You got to embrace change if you're going to do what we're trying to do. And I figure there's no time like the present. Let's do it. Let's figure it out as we go a little bit. We got some plans. We're going to try and do this travel podcast, website, affiliate marketing, maybe do tours with people. But that's only going to bring in so much money. And, like you said, we got some other bills. So maybe I'll get a job as a barista or, go to Costco and greet people and say, can I see your receipt? I don't know. But you got to take a jump at some point, and we're taking that jump now.
And I thought it was interesting a few weeks ago when you had decided to do this, you said you've been hoping to see a sign. You were hoping that somewhere in the universe there'd be a sign that you were doing the right thing because you had a fair amount of anxiety over it. So why don't you share with some people a couple of the things that happened, if you can remember.
I do.
That kind of pointed you in the right direction, like, yes, I'm absolutely doing what I need to do, because not everybody was supportive of your decision.
That's true. Not a lot of people think we're absolutely insane to do this, to walk away from money and stability. And it's not about the money for me, and I'm hoping it's not for you, and we kind of agree on that, but it's more about the time. For us, we have this window of, with our kids being where they're at, not needing us all the time, and our grandparents not needing us yet to do a lot of the stuff. We have a dog and we have a house, but we have a window of about 4 or 5 years before all of a sudden one of our daughters might be married and pregnant, and you and I are gonna want to be sitting by their side being grandparents, and that'll take forever. We'll never be traveling for a while then, or our parents might need help, or who knows what. So, but we had a friend, a coworker of mine that I was telling him what we were doing and that I had put in my 2 weeks, and I was feeling very nervous about it and subconsciously freaking out when I was talking to people about it, and all of a sudden in the middle of it saying that time is we need this time now. And all of a sudden she said her husband had just been diagnosed with cancer, and scaring the crap out of her and scared the crap out of me. And I knew that sign right then and there. I was like, wow, we are doing the right thing. It's about time, not about the money. And since then, I think I've had about 4 other people in the last month here finding out either someone passed away. We just know another person, somewhat friend, just passed away just a week ago. Same age. So, you know what? Now's the time.
Yeah. Life's too short. And we keep saying to ourselves, what is the worst thing that could happen? This, we don't succeed at doing this. Fine. So we go get some other jobs and we have to go back into the workforce. It's not the end of the world, but you can't chase your dreams forever. So this is why we're doing what we're doing.
I just celebrated 30 years with the company 2 weeks ago, and we went on a trip, which we'll talk about in the future. But we went to Tucson and got recognized 30 years of service, and it was a lot of kudos, and it felt great. But it also, people were like, "What are you doing?" And I explained to them, and almost resoundingly, everybody's like, "Good for you. Go do it. If you need a job and you fall flat on your face, come talk to me." I had like 20 proposals from people saying, "We got your back. You go do this. If you fail or you just miss it, come on back." And these are people from all over the country saying, "We got a job for you." So people, if you're thinking about doing something like this, just know that if you got a good support structure, you can always go back to work. You can always go back doing the same old. But take that chance if you feel like it, because we're going for it. And maybe 2 years in, I'll be like, I really miss my old job. I doubt it, but maybe.
Well, keep your network, and for you, like, you could have a similar job but in a different state. So we could still do a reboot somewhere else with a different situation. So worst comes to worst, that would be kind of exciting too. But we're not ready to go there yet. But it was nice to be able to say our goodbyes and hug people, and there was a lot of tears. But a lot of people were not only congratulatory, but very jealous.
Very jealous.
And I do think 2 more people, by the way, at that convention retired suddenly. And I
think they were inspired.
I think they were like, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. They were older.
They got 7 to 10 years on me. So I'm 54. So it's not like I'm not old. It's not because I'm like, hey, I got to retire now. So
yeah. If we've done nothing else, let's hope that we inspire some people to reevaluate their lives and, sit down and think about what's really important and what you want out of life and how much time you have. Because like you said, we're in this little sweet spot where we're going to have to take advantage of it. But
there was one thing that has really kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't ready for it, is that seeing all these people that I see them every year, once or twice a year at these meetings, to know that I'm a good portion of them I'm never going to see again. I mean, these are friends that I've known for 20, 30 years. You know, I could call them up on my cell phone. I might still be able to be in touch with them, but the odds are very unlikely that we will ever see each other again. And to reconcile that in your brain is really, really difficult. It's such a weird thought. So just one of the thoughts I had to deal with.
Yeah, that is odd. It's
But we
a
will-
different life.
We will make a concerted effort to actually see many people that we love dearly and will not let go of.
That's because there might be some road trips in our future, and then maybe we can stay with all of our friends for free because we won't be able to afford those
So
hotels.
Florida, the Cape, you guys know who we're talking about. We're coming to see you.
Alabama,
Oh, yeah.
Boston,
Oh,
St.
yeah.
Louis. We're going all over. But speaking of travel destinations, because of all of this stuff that we've recently had been going on, we were kind of feeling the stress, and we decided, you know what? Let's go somewhere because that's what we do. We like to get out of town. We like to put those wheels up, and we like to experience new places. And so, very spur of the moment, with very little planning, we decided to bolt out to Costa Rica, a place that we had never been to before. We were super excited to go there. Our daughter, Raina, had spent some time there, 6 weeks actually on her gap year, which we spoke about in another episode previously. And she really loved Costa Rica. So we were excited to try it out. And we had some money left over from our London trip when we got bumped. So we needed to use that before it expired. So yeah, Costa Rica.
Let's be clear. We were at Christmas break. We hadn't traveled in like a month, it felt like. And we were
Shh, don't say that out loud.
No, it
That
was
sounds
horrible.
bad.
But it was just after Christmas. It was right at Christmas. And we were sitting there going, "What? We're stressed out about knowing I was quitting my job at that point already. We just needed to get away. We just needed to just unwind for a little bit. I had a lot of vacation time still, piled up that I could use.
True.
So Christmas Eve, I said, well, let's look around. We did a search first just to see where we could go. And nonstop flight to Guanacaste in Costa Rica, which is the Liberia airport, the northern, not the San Jose one, but in the northern part of Costa Rica, for dirt cheap. We're like, wow, dirt cheap, let's go. And we bought the tickets, spur of the moment, like that day, Christmas Eve, for like the 29th kind of a departure. So we were going to be down there for New Year's.
Yeah, we had like 4 or 5 days lead time, and people, this is not like us. Like
This is where it breaks down.
We travel well in advance, and we do tons and tons of planning. And on this particular one, we didn't. Why don't you tell everybody what we didn't do on this trip?
We didn't have the time to, well, we did. We looked online and said, all right, we really look into our hotels thoroughly. But 80% of the areas that we were looking at were already booked up with hotels. And it was New Year's Eve, so people were already had long time made their plans already at that point. Since we were going into the north, we realized we're probably going to go to 2 cities, probably 2 places in these 6 nights, 7 days, whatever. And we chose Tamarindo and Monteverde. And because of that, we flip-flopped on which was first, which was second, because we didn't know where we were going to be able to stay. And we struggled. And that's not how we normally do our trip planning. We plan these things out months, if not 6 months, 7 months, 8 months in advance. We pick the exact place we want, all the details about it. And we just didn't have that ability this time.
Yeah, we didn't even go on and find our Facebook groups that we like to do so we can get all of the on-the-ground information and some tips, and we didn't have time to do that. We didn't really pre-book any of our tours for the most part, so we were maybe just the one.
We thought about them, but we didn't know which ones, because until you're there, you didn't know which ones the best ones were, which ones were going to be available. We sent out some emails, but we weren't getting responses. We were kind of like last minute, like getting on the plane, and we didn't have really anything booked.
Yeah, and
we did have hotels.
We ended up having to pay a little bit more for our hotel than we wanted to because it was 80% booked. They basically had the high end and the low end left. And so you kind of had to pick and choose, and we ended up staying somewhere that was maybe a little higher, kind of hurt a little bit, but we're like, what the heck? We still have an income right now in about couple weeks, we won't. So let's just do it.
And the savings from the airfare was just negated immediately by nice hotels. So it was like a wash. It was like an average trip on cost. But we didn't also, plan any of those tours. So we didn't have any of that booked yet for money. So we didn't have any outlay except for just hotels and the airfare done at that point.
Yeah. So planning was a fail, and also we looked like total newbies because we show up at the airport and we go to customs, and we didn't even look up what are the customs requirements. What do you need to get into this country? Oops. Usually we check on that. Do you need a visa? What kinds of information does customs need to know? They needed to know our hotel address, our name and address of the hotel. They needed to know our return flights, like the exact dates and times. And so we are digging in our phone and trying to find this information while there's lines behind us. Yeah, and if you only had Wi-Fi only on your phone, because maybe you were just trying to hook up to Wi-Fi and save the money, you might have struggled trying to get that information. So it's a good thing to check that out beforehand. Make sure that you have that information before you show up at the customs agent.
Okay, well, we land in country into a torrential thunderstorm. I mean, it was pouring rain, like the biggest rainstorm you can imagine. And this is the dry season. So we were like, are we here at the right time? And we were kind of like freaking out, like it's just storm everywhere. It was like a flood on the tarmac. We go inside, and the people are there saying, "No, this is so unnormal." And our driver eventually just told us he was 40 years old. He had never seen it rain in late December, and he says it's been raining for weeks. So it was kind of bizarre. But transportation, you get to the airport, you do want to have your transportation taken care of, and we did have that. We did have that pre-planned before we got there because you don't want to show up at an international airport in another country and not be ready to know how you're getting to your hotel. And we did have one planned. Here's a little tip. When you go outside and you get your taxi or your shuttle or whatever you're paid for, when they have a sign for you, if you struggle and they don't have a sign and someone comes up to you, what are you looking for? You say the service. They're going to note your name, and you don't say your name first. Let them say your name first before you go and get in a car with them.
Or they'll just say, yeah, Tony, yeah, gotcha. And then you get in their cab, and then you realize, no, they weren't the people that you prepaid to pick you up. And by the way, prepaid for somebody from our hotel.
Yep.
Our hotel offered it. Maybe it was a few bucks more or something, but we felt really safe and secure, and that felt better to us. And so they had a sign with our name on, but if you don't choose the right person or you don't see them right away, yeah, you could get swindled. And apparently at that airport, that's a very, very common thing. So be careful of that.
They did know our name, so we got in the car with them and had a nice drive, and they were great.
So one advantage of going to Costa Rica that we really appreciated is for us, so we live in the Midwest, it was amazing because they are in the central time zone. So we didn't have to change our watches or anything. So you just zoom right down. We had a nonstop flight. It was absolutely perfect. And then as another little bonus, they have the same voltage. So you don't have to bring converters and all that kind of stuff for your electronics. You can just plug in your curling iron, which was fantastic.
And everywhere you go takes American money.
Yeah, they have colones, which is their currency, and you can get some of those ahead of time if you wanted to. We ended up we did get some. We certainly did not need it. We could have used American dollars or our credit cards for everything that we did.
And like most countries outside of the United States, they have the ability with your phone to use tap or your credit card, but just tap with your phone if you have a credit card already in your wallet or whatever on your phone. So everywhere we went, you didn't need anything except for your phone on you. And you could just tap to pay everything.
Yeah, we use Apple Pay
everywhere.
For a ton.
So
yeah, really convenient.
Julie, tell us about the Tamarindo Bay Suites.
Well, our hotel...
Not advertised.
No, it's not. The hotel that we ended up choosing was called the Tamarindo Bay Suites. And you know what? It ended up being perfect for what we needed. It had a lovely pool area, and what we appreciated the most, which it had like this beautiful Zen spa music that filtered the pool area. And so you just kind of felt like, wow, I'm really on vacation. I'm at a spa. And we spent an absurd amount of time on this vacation sitting by our pool, playing cards and games.
Which is what we never do. We're always on the go, activity, sightseeing, something. We got into a pattern at this place, and
we took naps. We suddenly turned into old people. You retire and you become an old person immediately.
I wasn't retired yet.
No, I know. But I don't know. I think we were just exhausted from, I don't know, all of the hullabaloo of the holidays and your job stuff. And so we just really relaxed. So it was nice to have a place that had right on site. We had the nice pool and we could just kind of chill out. And they had the room also had a microwave and a refrigerator and kind of a cooktop even in this little king size or queen size bedroom. It had all those things. So you could go get some food, you could stash it there. And that was really lovely to just have some space like that.
We looked at other places, but couldn't get into some of the places we wanted to that were a little bit more central to downtown and closer to the beach. We were about, I don't know, a 7-8 minute walk to the beach. So it wasn't bad. And it was a nice, really nice walk. But the roads there and the infrastructure, there was no sidewalks. So where we were, we had to walk on the road. Everybody walks on the roads. So if you were closer to downtown or to the beach, there is sidewalks down there. But we looked at a couple of other hotels beforehand. If we didn't want to do the hostel because we just didn't have the guts to go and do a hostel first time.
However, Raina said that it's called the Pupa House, Pupa, Pupa,
Not poop.
not poop, Pupa. Apparently had really good recommendations, amazing views, and was quite lovely. So that might have been absolutely fine.
And one that we wanted to do was the Pasatiempo Oasis, and it was in a great location right by some restaurants we liked, and we just couldn't get in. But
We peeked into it.
Beautiful. We did walk in there to see it. It was beautiful, and it's in a really good location. So that was another one we did.
Yeah, it was really lush, and it did really feel like an oasis in there, and it was perfectly central to everything you'd want to do. Our place, it wasn't a very long walk, maybe just a 5-minute walk kind of into town, but it was a little hard at night and, depending on what shoes you had on and stuff, and if you were schlepping things to the beach, it was a little bit on those roads, but
that's for all the places. It's just that's the infrastructure there. One thing they do have there everywhere is you're in the tropics. There's bugs, there's ants, there's all kinds of critters. But we realized in this trip more so than other places we travel to keep our bags zipped. You don't leave shoes out with closed toe. You check them. Spiders, but they were never a problem for us. We were probably more in our brain.
we saw some.
We saw some, but they were more in our brains than anything else. The only the bugs that we really had to worry about were the no-see-ums. And that's because down at the beach, which is an awesome beach, Tamarindo is known for surfing, and it's great for teaching surfing because it's kind of in a horseshoe in this bay, and at one end is very calm, small rollers just so people can learn to surf. And then as you work your way down the beach, the waves always get a little bit stronger and stronger, and then you're at the far end of the beach, and it's really great waves for really good advanced surfers. But we got there our first day. We go down to the beach, and we're like excited about being on the beach, and it was getting towards dinner time, and we decided to eat right on the beach at a table in the sand. That was probably our biggest mistake of the trip because we were in there in shorts and sandals, and all of a sudden we were just getting chewed, and we didn't even know that they were biting us until a day or two later when the bite started to itch. Those no-see-ums on the beach at dusk is a no-no.
Yeah, the sunset is beautiful. The cocktail was lovely. You get off the plane, you're so excited to go down to the water and just enjoy it and soak it in. And then you forget that those bugs come out. And my legs had quite a few bites, more than you did. I had quite a lot. And it's your first night. So then you get to have them for the entire rest of the trip. It's great.
But we also didn't use bug spray. And they say, use it. And we're like, we haven't seen a single mosquito. We never saw any mosquitoes.
The one time
you don't think you need to use it.
The one time we doused ourselves in mosquito spray, bug spray, we didn't see any.
Yep.
We're like, now we have this greasy stuff all over us. We stink, but whatever. Yeah, it's funny. Also, one question a lot of people ask, and I did a lot of research on before we went down there, is can we drink the water? Is this a thing? Is it not a thing?
Sanitation.
And I usually check the Facebook groups for that. That is the perfect thing to ask people and to search in the Facebook group. Can you drink the water? And a lot of times they say, yes, you can. I've done it many times, blah, blah, blah. But then a whole lot of other people said, don't do it. Just don't do it. Some of their infrastructure with their pipes and stuff are old, are small, might be rusty. We just decided not to. And luckily our hotel had a lovely purification system, a big water tank basically right in the pool area. We could refill our water bottles. So that was super handy. So make sure you bring a water bottle with you when you go. And plenty of places around town you could do that. And then all of the hotels and restaurants have purified water and purified ice cubes. So you don't have to worry about that.
And when you're down at the beach, I did surfing for one day. And there's a ton of places because everything down there is about surfing. So, and Tamarindo. So I just gave $15 to a guy that had boards right on the beach. It was like
2 hours.
2 hours. I basically I had it for 3. They didn't care. They gave me the shirt to wear, so you don't scuff up your stomach. And they gave me the board. I gave them $15 and walked away with their surfboard. So it wasn't like you needed to use your passport or anything like that. If you go to one of the bigger shops, they might want some identification, some kind of a retainer holding stuff. But down on the beach, give the guy $15 and walk away with a surfboard and go surf for a few hours. It's
And you
easy.
left your wife sitting on 2 chairs with an umbrella, and that was lovely. That cost us $30 for 2 chairs and umbrella for the whole day. That's a
The
deal.
pineapple drinks cost more.
And then you were surfing, and the waitress came along. I'm like, why, yes, I will take one of those lovely pineapple drinks. It was a huge pineapple, like the pineapple itself, with a cocktail inside of it, with an umbrella. And that is perfectly exactly what you want when you're sitting on the beach. One of those, I was very happy.
So another cool thing about Tamarindo is down there by the water, they have monkeys there that they don't have up in other places, up in the mountains where we were going to go later. They have howler monkeys, and we got to see them right from our room, right from the patio, right from out in the pool area. And in the morning, they're howling like crazy. It's pretty cool.
I don't even know how to describe the noise. We should actually put it into this podcast, like the noise they make, because that howler monkey, it sounds like a monster screaming in the woods.
Yeah.
It's not like a hoo hoo ow. I don't even know.
Do that again one
No,
more time?
I'm not gonna do that again. That was embarrassing. I don't even know, but it is a very unreal sound. And when you hear them kind of not barking, I don't know what you would describe, but it's amazing. And our hotel was actually kind of cool for that because we were a little bit further out. So we did have quite a bit of wildlife. Just we could watch them swinging from the trees right off our patio. And so that was cool.
There's also lots of birds, lizards, all that kind of stuff there.
Giant lizards in the trees.
Big ones, crawling up the trees. But we really loved some of the restaurants there in town. Our favorite probably had to be, I liked Waffle Monkey because that was coffee in the morning and it also had great waffles with bacon, big, huge chunks of bacon. But
They had really good coffee.
But the other one was it Green Papaya was the name of the restaurant?
Yeah. I couldn't get the name right. I kept calling it something.
Yeah.
The whole week I couldn't get the name right. But it was really close to our hotel, and it was really fun. It had hanging swings that you could I had a hanging swing on my side. Tony sat on a regular chair or kind of a bench, but I had a swing that I got to sit in. And we had an absolutely delicious meal. And then they had flavored lemonades that were kind of fun and different. So that was kind of nice. Also, one thing that we didn't mention, in Costa Rica and in a lot of developing countries, it's an important thing for their sanitation that you have to put all trash, and I mean toilet paper, in the garbage can.
Not in the toilet.
So this might be a very not a very great topic to bring up, I suppose.
It's reality.
But it is reality, and it's something you should be aware of. So yeah, all toilet paper goes in the bin next to the toilet. Nothing goes in the toilet. And I mean nothing. Not for one, not for two, not for anything. So you empty your trash daily. If you want to, but this is a very
Yes.
common thing. Well, yeah.
It's not a big deal. You just take everything's got a plastic bag.
It feels weird. It feels weird to put it in a trash can. But
Just imagine yourself having a baby again in diapers, and you have to take the diaper bag out. That's all.
yeah, it's something like that. But I just like to let people know so that they're not surprised when they get there. So yeah, that was a little side note.
One of the things that we chose for Tamarindo for the front end because New Year's Eve being down at the beach and a little bit bigger city than up in Monteverde where we went up into the cloud forest. But we also wanted to go to the Thursday night market, which was on the front end of our trip, and that's the only way we could make it work.
You really wanted to go to
I
that.
really did, and because I had seen a bunch of videos online about the Thursday night market, and it looked really cool.
We watched YouTube videos.
Yeah. The Thursday night market is in a parking lot the size of, not that big, just a quarter block.
I was shocked, actually, that was the parking lot they set up in because it didn't seem like it was big enough to hold
But
much
it
of
was.
anything.
It
But it,
was
turned
awesome.
out it did, yeah.
It was cool. Vendors of all kinds, art, food, crafts, you name it. Anything you can think of that local artisans or whatever food people can make, they were getting it, bringing it there, setting it up tables, and then they were selling it. And we tried a bunch of different foods.
And they have live music and dancing, so it's
Yeah.
super festive, and all the locals come, and it's just a great way to mingle with everybody and feel like you're part of the community, but yet still eat really good food and buy some of their crafts and really, really high-end, nice things that you could take home as souvenirs. I think that's where we made our only mistake of the trip when it came to possibly getting a little bit of a bug with the water. We were really careful about using our water bottles and using ice at the
Purified
hotels
water.
and restaurants. But that night at the Little Craft Fair, we had a ginger lemonade with ice from just the person who was selling it, right? And this isn't a restaurant or anything. It's just a local person making it and selling it. And we had a bit of a tummy upset the next couple days because of that. So bring your Pepto-Bismol. It's a miracle worker.
And then the next day we go for a drive.
Yeah, and
3
then I
hours.
was like, oh, great. Now we get to go 3 hours in a car. Fabulous.
And not just 3 hours in a car, 3 hours, couple hours, and then it's all up mountainous into the mountains.
I
with
took my
switchbacks.
Dramamine. Let's be clear. I had a good breakfast, and I took my Dramamine because I don't do good on windy roads.
So let's
Bumpy,
talk a
windy
little bit
roads.
about getting around in Costa Rica. A lot of people rent cars. A lot of people take charters, like a service, like a bus, car service, where you
Hire.
can take it with groups or you can take it by yourself. More expensive by yourself, less expensive for the group. And when you're in a group, though, you're set up, you have to meet at the same time and everybody's got to go. And then maybe your drop off is first or second, whatever it is. We chose to do a private, kind of like a taxi, but it's more of a shuttle service. And I think that when it's all said and done, we went from the airport down to Tamarindo, Tamarindo to Monteverde, Monteverde back, all with private charter service, car service. And it was probably about $200 more than if we had rented our own car. So it wasn't horrible, but the peace of mind of not driving that area into Tamarindo and on those roads and then up into Monteverde where you want to have a four-wheel drive vehicle because it's raining like all the time. I think we made a wise choice because also if we had gotten there or doing anything like we wanted to leave in the dark or go in the dark, the roads are not labeled. You just have to know where you're
It's
going.
dark.
You have
There's not a lot of lights either.
You have to have a GPS basically, and you have to be following it very carefully to make sure you don't make the wrong turns because it's all the way into a dead end. I mean, Monteverde is at the dead end of a long road. So.
And in the city, there's tons of traffic. And so you'd have to get your insurance and really have your head on straight, knowing where you're going and how to get around. And that wasn't something we wanted to do. We paid, I think, about $230 to get to Monteverde for that.
Yeah, that was
trip.
a pretty good expensive
It's a
little
good
clip.
chunk, but we're also by ourselves, and you can do those with other people. They have rideshare things where you can grab a shuttle with other people and make it cheaper.
But one of the cool things about getting your own private is on the way, we like to geocache. I've done a lot of it in the past, but we thought, hey, we're in Costa Rica, got to get a geocache. Got to get at least, light up the
One in the country.
Got to get one. And geocaching is where you find stuff that people have hidden using satellites, and you can use your phone and an app now, but and then you log it online. So if we haven't talked about that, we'll talk about it some other time. But on this one, we were going up the mountain into Monteverde, and we thought, well, it's the only one that we can see on this trip. It's on private property, but that they never usually are. But the person says on the site saying, please come in, you're welcome. So we knew that it was going to be okay. I got our driver to stop. He was curious about what this was. He had no idea. And we started walking down the driveway, and the dogs are barking, but they were friendly. And the guy came out of his house.
It did
And-
really feel like we were walking to somebody's private
Yep.
property.
But I should have been noticing that there was dogs because I stepped in the biggest pile of bleep. And so I had to deal with that for the next 10
Our
minutes.
driver was like, you did not just do
Yeah.
that. He did not want you coming back into his vehicle.
But I got it cleaned up. Anywho, we move on, and we find a really cool geocache with a gorgeous view overlooking from the mountains down into the valleys and to the water, and it was really cool. And
One
he
of
was-
the best pictures on the whole trip was from that spot right there.
And
And
he
that's
thought
what
it was cool.
geocaching does for you. It takes you to places that you would never find on your own.
That is probably the single reason why we still do it as much, because it does bring you to unique places. People usually hide something at a really cool spot so you can go and be at that spot. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know to go there.
Yeah, you were a little worried there was going to be some funky like tarantula or spider or snake or something where that
Well-
one was hidden because it was in the ground. But
I have gone for geocache before and lifted up a rock or something like that, and there's snakes or spiders or different things. So you're in Costa Rica. You don't know what's going to be underneath the hiding spot. So
Yeah, so we made it to Monteverde safely, and it was lovely. It was a completely different kind of topography and climate, so it's cool up there. We were wearing jeans, sweatshirts, jackets, rain jackets.
Everything we owned.
We were like, whoa, it's chilly up here. And we were prepared for that, but we did have to layer up. And in Tamarindo, it was hot. You know, I was dying of heat, actually. It was very, very hot. But up in the cloud forest, you were nice and cool. So it was kind of fun to have two different experiences like that on the very same trip. So, Tony, why don't you tell them where we stayed?
Okay, we stayed at a place called Poco a Poco. Just fun to say. Say it with me.
Poco a Poco. Poco a Poco.
So, really cool hotel. It was one of the last ones we could choose, but really glad we did. It had, and because of us being late, they had limited rooms. But what we got was this private room with well, they're all private rooms, but a room that had its own private hot tub, enclosed into like a little. No, I don't even know what you call that.
Like an atrium?
Atrium. It was kind of like
connected to the room. It was, yeah.
It was really cool, and that was awesome. And then when you go into the main hotel part with the pool and the hot tub that they have, it's indoor, outdoor, and they have hanging flowers all over. And the hummingbirds would come in and feed off the flowers right above the pool where you're swimming. It was
so
really
cute.
neat. Really neat. For a birder to be sitting there looking at all these different hummingbirds while you're in the pool was pretty fun.
Yeah, and the hot tub in our room, I looked at him like, are you kidding me? There's a hot tub here? I am not going in that. There's no way. Because I just thought for sure it's probably dirty or whatever. I opened it up. It was the cleanest, most sparkling. It looked brand new.
Yes.
It was amazing. And it turns out we used it a whole bunch because when you are chilled from walking around in the rain and it's kind of wet and damp, but still that humid, it's just kind of a weird feeling. It was lovely.
Chills you.
And if you're hiking for 5 hours, it's nice to come home and soak in the hot tub. It was great.
Yep. And this was right in town. So I was trying to think about how you describe Monteverde to somebody because you're up in the mountains. And when you look on a map, you're like, oh, we could easily walk to this place and we could walk to here. And you're like, then you get up there and you go, holy crap, this is hilly terrain. I'll say it like this. Imagine a city that is on all points of a roller coaster, a big, giant roller coaster. You got some parts up at the top. You got a hotel over here. Down in the valley, you got this place and the restaurants.
And it curves around.
And the roads are just like a roller coaster. That's the way that the city looks like it's designed. It almost looks like as if you were on a roller coaster going around that city. Is that
That's a
fair?
great illustration.
Thank you. I was trying to come up with something good.
I have no idea how I would have done that.
Anyways,
it's circuitous.
A lot of up and down on the roads and walking.
And perilous walking. It's sometimes slippery and sometimes really steep. We had to walk that dang hill a couple times that was super steep to and from restaurants. And man, it gets your heart rate going because it's also the elevation is quite a bit higher. So, whew.
So we went to Monteverde for basically we wanted to see the cloud forest because there's not a lot of them. And this is way up there, right? So you're up in elevation. You're in the clouds and you're in the constant mist. They say up there, if you want to, what the weather's like, walk 50 feet. You're in different weather. Like really, you could look 50 feet in front of you and somebody's standing in the sun and you're standing in a cold wind with rain.
That's literally true.
And just walk 50 more feet and all of a sudden now you're not in the sun anymore. It's just back and forth everywhere you go. So we had a really cool hike planned. I did just about, while we got down there, I got in contact with some birder friends because I'm a big birder. Yeah, I know, geeky.
Bird nerd.
And I got a guy that recommended a guy who recommended a guy, and this guy was awesome. His name is Diego. He's 21 years old, and he knows birds like nobody I've ever seen. He's grown up birding. And I'm going to give you a little advice when you're going to go birding and you're going to go somewhere versus a tour guide. This is at a national park there. It's up in the cloud forest. There's all kinds of service. You look online, you're going to get inundated with people trying to sell you a tour, a package to come and have a guide take you. Birding, if you want to go birding and you're looking for birds, you get a bird guide, not a tour guide that says, we do birding, we do this, plants, flora, fauna, all of that. No, you want somebody that knows the birds because the other ones kind of know birds, but they don't. Like Diego could hear any bird and knew exactly what it was. We're talking 300-400 birds. He knew what they were, knew where they were, knew where to find them.
Yeah, their habitats. He knew exactly. And because he goes there every single day, he actually knew where specific birds were.
Yep. And we went specifically to see one bird in particular that we were hoping to find, the resplendent quetzal.
And when we say We really mean you.
I'll post a picture online and you'll see it. It is stunning. It's the most beautiful bird, and you have to admit that.
So I'm not a birder.
Yes, you are.
No, okay. No, I'm not. I'm not a birder because I don't care to count and quantify how many birds I've seen. I don't need to see how many lifers I have. I don't make note of them. Now, I do enjoy the thrill of the hunt. I like looking. I like to see if I can spot one before somebody else. I don't mind having my binoculars and peering off into the distance. And I mean, I enjoy that competitive part of it, and I like to find them. But once I find it, and I can appreciate the birds there are beautiful, multicolored, red, green. I mean, things we don't have in Minnesota. Absolutely spectacular. But like, that's the extent of it. I don't care if I, write them down.
Whereas I like to document and count and keep records year over year over year. It's, I don't know, just the way
I'm a little afraid Tony is going to use this next year that he has off to go on a big year, like the Steve Martin movie, where he's going to just try to see how many birds he can get in a year. But
it's a really good movie.
Ironically, we just watched it a couple nights ago.
We did.
It was on TV. But anyway, we digress.
Okay, so the place we went to was the Curry Concha Wildlife Refuge, and it's right next door to the Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve. So these are basically very similar. And both, you have to pay to get into both of them. So
we did a 5-hour tour probably. And so we saw a lot of birds. But in addition, we got to see a boa constrictor. It was just slithering on the ground, and that was really cool to see.
And we had asked Diego, like, hey, how often do you see snakes? We hear about snakes in Costa Rica, like they're hanging from the trees, they're going to fall. No, he goes, I've seen like 5 snakes in the last 20 years. Like, I never see them here. We just don't see snakes. And about maybe 5 minutes later, we're walking in, somebody goes, snake! And we're like, he's like, wow, that's extremely rare.
And the guy that was there with the other group, he said he had only ever seen them 2 times in his whole life.
They do see them at night because they got night tours. We didn't go on one, but at night.
We were too tired at night. How do people do that?
We were just so exhausted. We were like, no, we don't. We just want to go back to the room, find some food, and go to bed.
Yeah, so that was cool. We also saw a coati. How do we say it? Coati?
It's
Coatie? Coati, right?
The Latin America trash panda.
Very cute.
It's a giant raccoon.
Yeah. And some other little wildlife too, even at the hotel. Ironically, our hotel, if you do not want to pay to go on a bird tour, you could stay at the Poco a Poco and wander the grounds, and you could see a slew of birds that we saw.
They actually had a trail out back that we walked each morning. It was awesome. So
it was.
You don't have to go. You don't have to pay to go into some place. You can just almost every hotel is going to have their own walking trails if they're big enough.
Absolutely.
So when you get done with these hikes, and oh, by the way, umbrella. You'd think that you're in a it's basically rains all the time. You don't need it. You don't want it. It's windy. It's very windy up there. It's always windy. So umbrella, you're going to be fighting it all the time. And you know what? You just get used to having that mist on you, off of you, on you. It's just the way it is. But when you get done, and you get back and you shower and you get dressed up and you're like, we gotta go get some food. It was the Vikings versus Detroit. It was the big
playoff
game. No, it was the hey, we got to go see what's the last. It was a big game, so we went to town. There's only one place in town that will show football games on TVs. We don't recommend that place. Bar Amigo. Don't like to talk bad about places, but we had read reviews saying if you're an American or if you're a tourist, they will not serve you. They're looking for other people. They're looking for their locals, their friends. And I'm not kidding. It was very, very difficult to get any kind of service in that place.
It was.
We did get to watch the game, but along with a bunch of other tourists, we sat around looking at each other.
They were very busy late on a Sunday night. It seemed very odd. But yes, we were not prioritized. But that's okay.
But we did have some really good food at Taco Taco. Great food there. Mm-hmm. And
we had a great pizza at the Pizzeria Quetzal.
Quetzal, named after the bird.
It was about $20 for a pizza.
That's another thing.
It was fine.
Costa Rica is not cheap. Like the food, it is extremely expensive. It's
Shockingly, yes. We thought it would be much more reasonable, and drinks and food, especially in Tamarindo, were very expensive. We were very surprised by that. So it did cost us some money. And one of the other things that was unfortunate, Tony also lost something very near and dear to his heart, and that was his bamboo zip-up sweatshirt. He has this gray sweatshirt that he absolutely loves. He wears it every single time we're on an airplane. And we left it sitting on a chair in the Tamarindo airport, and he didn't realize till we got home that he had left it there, and he practically started crying. And he went
I might have shed
online
a tear.
and absolutely ordered another one immediately, despite the expense. And he'll tell you why this is such an amazing piece of clothing.
It's wool. It's a wool, like a zip up, hoodie. And I always thought,
Is it wool or is it bamboo?
No, it's wool.
Sorry, I
It's
said
Unbound
bamboo.
Merino. It's is the brand name, and I highly recommend it. I've used it in hot Africa. I've used it in France. I've used it in cold, hot. It doesn't matter. It regulates your temperature. If you're hot, you're going to be cool. If you're cool, it's going to warm you up. So wool is it, and loved this thing, and it was such a bummer because I've had it for years. It's been all over the world with us, and I went and got the exact same color. Should have got a different color just to mix it up a little bit, but
But it was that gray that just kind of goes with everything. So
anyways, you maybe see a link on that sometime in the future. I'll help people out because it's really, really good product, and I've got shirts by them. Going to get their travel pants. It's a travel hoodie, so it's something nice and light and easy you can pack with you.
So one thing we should mention is that Costa Rica is known for their coffee. And we did do a coffee and a chocolate tour, and it was amazing. And we did bring some chocolate home. So I did bring that home as a souvenir. But they have all 100% Arabica coffee in Costa Rica. It's against the law to serve any other kind. That's what
They don't
have.
make it. They don't
They don't
grow
make
any-
it. They're not
they
allowed
don't grow
to
any.
grow it. So the coffee there is spectacular. So that is one thing that was really wonderful. No matter where you went, you don't have to ask anybody, where's a good coffee shop? They're all good because they all have great coffee. So that was really lovely. Their chocolate was good. Their tours for that kind of thing were fun. I would say that this time for this trip, we didn't do as much as we normally maybe would have, and that we were really kind of tired. So it was a different experience for us, and we came away feeling like, I'm not sure if this is our place. I'm not sure if we really felt super connected to Costa Rica, but I
We
don't
didn't
think
give it the full go.
I don't think it was Costa Rica's fault. We would probably explore other regions next time, and I think we would do a little bit more research so we could really figure out where we wanted to go. But this will lead us really nicely into our next podcast that we'll be following with some people who do love Costa Rica. So stay with us for the next one, and you'll find out a lot more about this country and what it has to offer.
Also, as we're wrapping up here, we just want to say, hey, thank you for listening. Thank you for following us. We are now on, as you probably know, wherever you're listening, but we're on Apple and on Spotify. We also have our website. Please visit there.
Please, because I've been spending hours working on the show notes.
Yeah, so if you think that we talk a lot, Julie writes more than we actually say in our podcast, in the show notes. So if you have anything that you want to see back, it's in there with links to the places we went to, the restaurants, to everything we talk about is in there.
Tons
She
of
puts a lot-
bonus content too.
Yeah.
Things I'm like, oh shoot, we never had the chance to talk about this. So there's a lot of links and tips and all kinds of stuff in the show notes that are really interesting.
Our links page is in there. Plus, we also have Instagram, maybe some TikTok, YouTube channel. Just follow us everywhere you can. Give us some love. Give us some input, too. We'd love to have questions about previous episodes or future stuff that we're maybe going to do. But now we're getting ready to do some interviews with some friends, and you're going to get to hear all about if you wanted to purchase in Costa Rica or
Yeah.
other places. So until then,
Wheels
up.
up.